Welcome to today's episode of Nerds on Hip Hop. This podcast is about the intersection of hip hop and nerd life. Captain Marvel, Black Clover, E40, Spectrum, and KRS-One are all fair game. And if you know any of these names, welcome.
There are four main parts. We first review our weeks in nerddom and hip-hopdom. Then we explore a theme through our hip-hop and nerd influences. At the end, we ask ourselves a question, and then we open up to your questions.
I am the Wolves Den. I'm here joined by the legendary...
kind of legendary. Miss Old School, Victoria. And we have a special guest this episode, too.
Hey, everybody. Eric Sage, the number one Twitter troll and comic book reviewer that talks about music, movies, and TV shows.
Yay!
Definitely the legend. And two legends on the podcast today. It's going to be special.
Definitely one legend.
Actually, you know what? Let's go straight into our mutual stuff. I think this is where the fun stuff is going to be. So, since we had Sage today, he suggested that we need to read Marvel Legacy and talk about it. So, I'm going to ask Sage what he thought of Marvel Legacy, and then we'll start pouring in our thoughts afterwards, because I have a ton of questions, actually. So, Sage, drop the wisdom, drop the knowledge of how legendary the legacy of Marvel Legacy for a year. Like, what do people going to talk about?
Alright, Marvel Legacy came out September, right? Yeah, I want to say. Okay, yeah, Marvel Legacy number 1 came out this September. It was the new initial line-wide initiative for all of the new Marvel books. They were going back to they were either keeping their numbering because some series were so new. There's like that have been around for eons, like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man. They were going back to the original numbering, give or take, because like the math was off for certain titles. So like Iron Man's now closer to Iron Man 600. Thor just had their shoe. Captain America is going towards 700, I want to say. So like they're all reaching like the bigger numbers like DC did with Rebirth. And Marvel Legacy number 1 was like the preview book for what you need to be hip to, per se, like just the stories and characters that you are following or not following, all the different storylines. And in Marvel Legacy number 1, they had Jason Aaron and Asad Ribic, followed by an entire creative team of artists. They did a story with the Avengers BC, like the very first team of Avengers, like Odin, not Jean Grey Phoenix, but just the Phoenix itself, Iron Fist, Agamotto, Black Panther, Spider, and an Iron Fist. Like, they were in one of, man, like they were still cave people running around, and they were fighting just threats, and then fighting a Celestial when the dawn of man and the Celestial is still a threat. And the overreaching narrative of Marvel Legacy, like there's a story featuring these characters and how they tie back in to what came before and what's happening now. And there's a lot of, I wouldn't say spin-offs because they're extensions of the story that are coming, like Captain America out after Secret Empire. He's kind of like, America hates me because I was kind of a Hydra Nazi, took over everything and killed my friends, so that wasn't really cool. So I'm kind of just gonna chill on the road. I'll see what America thinks of old Captain America. I was a Nazi, like, it wasn't really me, because it was an alternate side split version of me. Yeah, comics can be confusing, and that was basically the gist of Secret Empire. Steve Rogers is going on a road trip to find himself.
Did that remind you of the Hyperion road trip, by any chance?
I would have to go back and look at it to get that, because Secret Empire definitely did a lot and set up how Captain America, which is the only Captain America that we follow, my Captain America is black. Same Cap.
Erica's book.
And some other stories like the search for Tony Stark, which is happening in Iron Man. Tony was the fight with Captain Marvel at the end of Civil War II, and he stasis, so they don't want to like wake him up or try to know what will actually happen if they like unfreeze him because they don't know what to do. So in Marvel Legacy, it's revealed that he just disappeared. His cyber cocoon that kept him is just off the map. No one knows where it is. The things in the Iron Man books, Ghost Rider and Starbrand had a fight. To the Avengers BC, Loki's finding the Celestial. He's trying to find the Cosmic Cube. Not the Cosmic. Well, he's trying to find the Cosmic Cube in the Infinity Stones, which are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're gonna see a lot of those in the play next year with Marvel Infinity War. This movie of all time, because it kind of has to be. So the Infinity Stones are about to come back into play. Directed a few characters in Marvel Legacy.
Yeah, Black Widow's still alive.
Hanging in the air, Bucky and Hawkeye believe that Black Widow is still alive after she got her neck cracked by Steve. They resurrected Wolverine after him being dead for 3 years, even though 2014 in the Death of Wolverine story. His clone, Laura Wilson, she's the new Wolverine. They brought Jimmy Hudson, his Ultimate Universe son. They brought Old Man Logan from the famous Old Man Logan story.
So we're just going to have a team of Wolverines at this rate.
You just need to bring a Wolverines family together because they have Old Man Logan, X-23, Jimmy Hudson, all in the play. So bringing back the original Logan.
Right. I mean, do you...
To see why.
Make a Wolverine team.
And Logan has it's just going to be a lot of sounds happening. Everybody's going to have varying degrees of cross. Oh, I forgot that Dakin is Wolverine's. Yeah, it's a lot of claws happening.
A lot of sneaks. A lot of sneaks.
Yeah, a lot of sound effects.
Yes.
I'm waiting on them to announce that. And the Guardians of the Galaxy are coming into play to Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Loki's scheming again. He's about to become the Sorcerer Supreme. So he's taking over Doctor Strange's job. Wolverine has one of the Infinity Stones, so that's gonna be weird. A weird story for Marvel in 2018 because there's a lot of things happening that spin out of the Marvel Legacy. So if you're one of the fans that want to see like, oh, okay, so books and what's next for all these characters, like Deadpool's going back to being evil. So if you want to read about Despicable Deadpool, Mighty Thor 700th anniversary, 700 issues of Thor. It's something for everybody.
And I have like a bunch of quick questions since you are our literal Marvel watcher here. You're essentially the closest that we got to that. Alright, the very first thing that not confused me, was interesting. Odinson says he created Midgar. What? Is that actually fact?
I don't think like he literally created, I'm gonna LOL, let me create Earth for fun. I think he just like into play, like he's watching it because Odin is, even back in BC time, he was fairly young.
Right.
So like watch it. So he essentially just kept guard of Midgard because the World Tree and the Ten Realms, they're all connected. So someone had to do it. And
okay. So it's more so as a guardian rather than a creator.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one of the things that like threw me off. I was like, I do not remember that at all. And then the other stuff came to my mind. are the Jotunheim always kind of being taken over by somebody else? Because reading this issue and how the Jotunheim were being used by Loki reminds me of how the Jane Foster run, when Iron opens Jane Foster run, of them being used by what's the other dude, Malekith. Yeah, I was like, I wonder how much of, when I'm reading this, I was like, how much of this is more so not just a legacy in the sense of everything else. Was like, I feel like Aaron is kind of throwing his mini celebration of like, oh yeah, Thor's been going fantastic, this is great. So like, because I never read, although I know Aaron and Rebek have like such a legendary run, part of me is just like, I didn't think Thor would be this integral to reading through this, even as one of the figureheads of the Avengers people.
Oh yeah, the Jotunheim. Wow, it's really hard to talk about Norse mythology and pronounce it. Yeah, the ice doors there, the ice giants, frost giants, they kind of just. He is part ice giant because that's his true lineage. His father is like the king, and I believe he died in. Didn't he die like in that issue? I want to say.
I think the king died in that issue. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so it's like Loki can technically have that because those are his people.
Mm.
So then he's trying to quote unquote save the world with the usage of the Infinity Stone. So we run the Frost Giants if need be.
Yeah.
I just love this comic just because, like, it feels like there's so many different characters that we never would get to see in the movies, like, get together, and it just feels like a fan person's dream. So, like, just hearing, like, you guys talk about, like you have Ghost Rider, and then the Avengers, and then Wolverine. Like, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's, like, definitely, like, brings everything together because I want the MCU to do so much, so... Infinity War is using the Black Order, who I love so much. It's gonna be incredible to see the Black Order like fight the Avengers on in IMAX in May. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, this is dope. Yeah, I mean, I think the MCU has done a lot, like as far as like catering to us, but sometimes it's cool in the comics just to see like, oh yeah, like it's possible for these two to like get together. So much
people are already trying to say like Riri is in the audience in Civil War.
Word?
Yeah, they're trying to say that like if they ever do use Riri, that she was in the audience, that she got her project for her Iron Man suit funded since Tony did that in Civil War for him.
Essentially,
because he was at MIT and Riri does go to MIT at like 15.
That would be interesting.
Like how they did it in Spider-Man, where it's like retroactively people have always been there. I feel like keep doing.
Yeah, like I didn't really care for like Kevin saying, "Oh yeah, he was the little kid in Iron Man 2 that no one cared about." That was Spider-Man. Dude, come on now, like we didn't need. You're not about to make me go watch Iron Man 2 again just to see that little kid full scene. You're not gonna make me watch that just to say, "Oh yeah, that was Peter Parker." Or was in Queens. Hanging with whoever at 6. He was not in Iron Man 2.
Right.
Man, it's going to be interesting who else they pull from all of that. The other interesting thing that came from me was I didn't think Valerie was going to be reading. Like, the fact when I was reading this whole thing about Legacy, because I knew that Wolverine was the person being resurrected, I didn't expect to see Valerie, and I keep forgetting the son's name. I didn't expect to see them. I didn't expect to see them in the first place, and it changed my understanding of what she was talking about with Legacy. Because as much as I wasn't interested in Wolverine, when he started talking about like every creed and color, same stories keep happening over again, it feels like appropriate for Wolverine to say that. Because he's been around this forever. The entire X-Men universe is complicated as hell. So there's nothing new for them. And you talk about creed and color all being like a part of the same legacy. That's what X-Men is. When I realized it was Valerie talking, I was like, yeah, I guess. It didn't hit the same way.
Oh, yeah. Like, from the moment they announced announced the Marvel Legacy, everybody was like, okay, so this is when Fantastic Four are coming back. This is it. Get it over with. Come on. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but we know somehow, some way, Fantastic Four are going to be in it. And when and Franklin again, so it's like, all right, they're still out there. You still have them on the bench, but they exist and they're cool and they're just going out there creating universes and still trying to create stories. Yeah, they're just Fantastic Four bring about imagination, and that's what they're doing out after the Secret Wars ended. They're going out and literally creating the multiverse in which the Marvel universe now lives. They're out there, but they're just not where we can see them.
I think I like what you said now, because that changes the whole context of, I know that they were creating universes, but I didn't think of it as, by creating universes, they're kind of the holders of imagination. And I think now when you put on that twist, it makes sense for them to be doing that kind of narrative as kind of away from where everything's happening. They have the omniscient view since Franklin is essentially a god, but yeah.
Yeah, because it's like with the Ultimates by Al Ewing, that was a comment about ideas, not just getting caught up in regular Marvel universe infighting and fighting villains. They were trying to solve problems. Galactus is now a good guy, and they kept up with it. They didn't change it back. He was changed because he was corrupted in the story, but Galactus is a guy that brings life to the planets he destroyed now. That's a huge thing to do, to turn instead of purple and grumpy and depressed to a guy bright golden shiny sun yellow. And look, I know Earth is fighting each other because Hail Hydra, but multiverse level threat in space, and because you guys are fighting on Earth and I'm fighting for existence. You guys are
a little different.
Small. Yeah, it's just certain Marvel titles are bigger picture, just not trying to really deliver on something and tell a story about utilizing characters. Who would have thought Blue Marvel, Spectrum, Captain Marvel in America would be the best team ever and solve that affect reality and not just simple, small stuff.
I've been needing to buy that. It feels like it was a... So, let me ask you this on a total side note. Do you think ultimately that Marvel should always have 3 teams, that it should be essentially Champions, Avengers, and the Ultimates? Is that kind of the hierarchy overall, you think, of the Marvel Universe when you look at it in a big picture way?
It should be everyone should be on the same page. Everyone should have a meeting at Avengers House, okay, guys, look, we're going to be nucleus team. There's always going to be an Avengers, for better or worse. Because their series sucks. There should be Avengers. It should be the Guardians of the Galaxy, because they're but right now they're kind of the rogue, dumb, bandit idiots that just go to the Guardians because, we're the Guardians. We're going to do whatever we want anyway, so might as well. Then there should be a cosmic space Avengers team, the big gun. So when Thanos comes knocking for his bi-weekly Earth invasion, they'll stop him. There should So those are the cosmic people. And on the street, it should be the street level guys. So the defenders, it should be the guys with a message, which I'm kind of getting it with Champions a little bit, but it's not they're definitely solving earthly problems, and Occupy Avengers did this too, but they just added superheroes with it. So they were trying to solve water crises, and there was a town of Skrulls, and they were being killed, so they had to solve that. So it's just little things like that. So it should be like street level, like people type of teams. Because if I was living, like, I don't know why people still live in New York when Nova, Spider-Man, and Luke Cage can just fly through the air and crash my car. New York should like have every type of insurance. So it should just be like teams with something to say, and like West Avengers is the most Americanized team. Like their whole thing is American, like red, white, and blue American team, and it has every type of hero, every creed and color, gender, sexuality. So like that's the type of team you need in Marvel to shows the diversity is working, because of teams like that and Al Ewing. I love Sunspot. Yeah, Sunspot's an amazing guy in my eyes now, because he's leader of the U.S. Avengers and AIM. Bit dumb rich. Like, he's just doing everything right, and it seems like that you need.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask Victoria, as we have the Marvel encyclopedia with us?
And DC.
And DC.
People can like both. People do like Marvel and DC, and a little independent comics if you're nasty.
I haven't had any questions. I did not know about Starbrand before, so I didn't know. I was gonna look him up, but is there anything I should know about him? I guess that'd be a question.
And he is up to date because way back decades ago they had this thing called the New Universe where he was introduced. Some things he was in Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers. It's kind of twisted because the Starbrand is like a planetary defense mechanism. You're chosen. So if you're going to defend Earth, you need to have the power to destroy Earth. And the power of the Starbrand went into a bullied college student.
Huh.
He got the power, and he kind of blew up his college.
Alrighty.
You know, he kind of blew up his college and fought the Avengers, threw Hulk into space, blah, blah, blah.
So I'm gonna
Superhero curve.
I'm gonna need him to get out of Africa then. He needs to get away from Wakanda.
He was definitely a mainstay in the Hickman Avengers. He was really awesome, and I kind of fell in love with him and his buddy cop. They kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, Starbrand's definitely cool to look at.
Yeah, I liked his design. I liked a lot of the designs in this book. Like, I wrote down the artist's name. It's Esad Ribic. Because, like, every so often, like, Starbrand was dope. I love how Phoenix was drawn. I love the Ghost Rider. Like, it was some good stuff. It was dope.
I liked a lot of the panel layering. The page where they're inside the Avengers Mansion. I was like, the layout is neat. Like, even when they have the final panel on that page where it's like hanging off, the final panel is the statue of the OG Avengers. Is like,
yes, with a twist.
Wait, what's the twist? I didn't catch that. When you looked at the statues, it was Hulk.
Yeah, Jarvis. There was somebody that's not supposed to be there is on the team.
Who did I not? Alright, who's that?
Yeah, there's this mysterious character called Voyager, and she's on the team, and she's not supposed to be there, so that's a big mystery.
So maybe someone messed up a timeline somewhere.
Yeah, because that's what Jarvis was saying. Naughty, do you ever feel like there's a slight detail that was off, and that was she's not supposed to. Voyager is not supposed to be there. We don't know who she is, but she's a mysterious character, and she's in certain Avenger issues coming out now. You can see in upcoming the Avengers Weekly No Surrender. She is featured on the OG team, and definitely, if anybody's been reading comics, you weren't there. Is included part. So yeah.
Now I even understand why they highlighted it that way now.
Makes sense, yeah. Smart paneling.
So for you, did you enjoy this issue? Like, you clearly have the understanding of the nuts and bolts and so forth, but I can't necessarily gauge whether or not you liked it. Because I'm not even sure how much I liked it either. I'm still like, I read it, I enjoyed it, but I'm not. I walk away not necessarily feeling as tied together and neat as a bow. And I'm not mad at that, but it's just like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it's like, because people immediately, they were comparing it to the DC Rebirth #1 when that dropped. #1 kind of like broke the internet, like, oh my god. Anybody out there who hasn't read it yet? But it came out that the Watchmen are in the DC universe. Manhattan, Batman found the comedian's button, the famous smiley face. Kind of like, oh my god, it was 80 pages for $3. Everybody was like, oh my god, it's the Watchmen. Wally West is back. Oh my god, this is amazing. The Marvel Legacy, we were kind of expecting the same type of break the internet. Oh my god, but if Marvel Legacy of the Avengers BC, because that was kind of the main draw, like the Avengers 10,000 years ago. That's kind of wow. I didn't think they'd be back that far.
It really should be a miniseries on its own.
It should.
We had some technical difficulties. We had a glitch in the Matrix. Parental difficulties. I like that. We're gonna bring ourselves back. You're breaking down just like, I don't want to say our lackluster response, but just kind of like, because Rebirth exists, the comparison that kind of exists.
Like Marvel Legacy was like 60 pages, but it was like $6, so we were kind of like, Marvel, DC did 80 for $2.99. Kind of. Why we need like $6 for less pages, and they did 80 for $3. The main draw was Avengers BC, and we didn't get enough of that because it was basically like a preview book. Because like if you look for like it's when it and Heroes, like one page when he was in the diner was drawn by the people like his creative team. And what was it? What's another part that was drawn differently?
The Avengers part was drawn differently in terms of when they were fighting the Jotunheim. It feels like it was drawn differently.
Yeah, the Frost Giant. So like that was drawn by them. So that's what their book is gonna look like. So it's kind of when it diverges like that, it kind of splits you. This is how the Avengers is gonna look, and this is what they're gonna be doing. And this is what Captain America is going to be doing, and this is what Starbrand and Ghost Rider and not Doctor Doom, but Iron Man and Iron Fist and Doctor Strange are remembering the Avengers BC, because all the legacy heroes were having dreams, because Ghost Rider was like, I just drove across the ocean and I dreamed of a woolly mammoth Ghost Rider. Oh, okay. You saw Starbrand was acting nuts because he knows that the final host in the Celestial, and he was killing people indiscriminately to make sure that nobody got in the way. So that was Marvel Legacy was not really like, it sets you up for what's happening, but it's also like a preview book.
Right.
For if you want to focus, like Deadpool section when he was getting shot in the toilet, even though we all know that's not going to do anything to him.
Right. It just sets the stage.
You're wasting bullets.
It's
up for his specific dilemma. Then he feels bad because during Secret Empire, he killed Agent Coulson, who we all see on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
When he died.
So now that you say it, it feels like it's as if you had Rebirth, and then they inserted pages from like the Rebirth one-shots of every Rebirth book. That's essentially what we kind of got, except with less actual Rebirth content.
We didn't even get all of the Marvel Legacy books because, the most
galactic
Wakandan army,
which is so cool and feels so appropriate given that Wakanda itself always gets screwed over no matter what storyline. Like the minute that Black Panther steps away from Wakanda, it gets invaded. It just happens. It's kind of important that they go to space. It feels like the most appropriate solution. Although, where did that originally happen? Because it felt like a random page. Even remember, like, did that happen at the end of Secret Empire?
Then that was actually the most recent thing we can. Probably the only logical explanation would have to be Wars. Marvel has a lot of secret blanks.
Yes.
Yeah, it was hard to keep up.
Wait, you think that's a callback all the way to the? Wow, that actually might be true.
The 25th.
Right, the end of 250. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's crazy because I remember that panel in that, and okay. I'm a little bit behind on Black Panther right now, but I do not remember that being a part of that, right? That hasn't happened yet.
No, because at the end and during the finale, after Black Panther recreated everything,
right?
When he stepped out, he said Wakanda is the most technological advance, and we're going into space flight now. And the spaceship blew off into space. That's probably because on Twitter, Ta-Nehisi Coates, everybody was pointing to it like, hey, that happened when the Wakandian space, the space flight program, because the West and the East weren't. T'Challa was like, the West and the East aren't doing anything, so we about to get it because we're already better than everybody, so we're about to do it. So that's probably nation for the intergalactic Wakandian army from them being ahead of the game on space flight.
That should be interesting.
They work fast. They have a whole planet and star system.
Yeah, it was a cool panel. It's just like I did not, given all the stuff.
Freaked out like, what? the black people in space? What? With their own like.
You just got one in Star Trek.
Like, whoa, slow down. We can't too much progress. Too much.
Yeah, I kind of want that movie now. Like, I want that to be the sequel to Black Panther. Black Panther in space.
Black Panther can do whatever he wants because he jumped on and ran on a building and then jumped back to Link all in one go. He can do whatever he wants, and I'll watch it because phenomenal. Regardless, the black people everywhere are gonna make sure no matter what.
How many times do you think you're gonna actually watch that in theaters?
I'm gonna just put it like this: I saw BVS 3 times at the movies, so the sky's the limit for Black Panther.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, BVS. Scott Pilgrim, I've seen 4 times. I've trained twice. So, Black Panther definitely has to get the ranks up. I'm gonna go in all black every time. Cupid shuffle to my leftovers.
I don't know what I'm wearing yet. Can't get it together.
We gotta get it together.
I just want to be surrounded by black people when I go see it. Like, I just want to me and Paul just go and just, it's like Wonder Woman had female viewings, we need black viewings of Black Panther.
Yes.
So,
it's a cultural moment.
So I think we're almost caught everything that we wanted to say about Marvel Legacy. Is there any last things that you want to say, Victoria, or you want to say, Sage, before we move on?
I'm going to just say I'm happy they had that Wire reference in there. Because that made me happy. Although I don't know if I'd say The Wire Season 4 was the best, but yeah, it was dope. So we're moving on to our week in hip-hop-dom.
So, I have a bunch of different stuff I want to talk about in hip-hop, but I'm just going to talk about one. The Lecrae album dropped, and that's about a month old now. And I've been listening, not a month old, it's probably like 2 weeks old, and I've been listening to it a lot this week. I just got the physical. And it's solid. It suffers the same problem that the last two Lecrae projects face for me, which is very strong opening. Like, these are some of like Lecrae's best songs I've heard in my life. Like, these are songs that I feel like for the first time I could say are like some of the best songs I heard all year. The song Facts and the song Always Knew. Lecrae is starting to write some of his best bars. Like, in fact, he says, if you want unity, read a eulogy, kill the power underneath you and over me. Or later on in that track, he says, like, people say he's divisive because of the black church, but segregation started there first. Like, the man is just, like, dropping all these gems. Like, he's trying to become a Christian KRS-One. Like, he started doing it on his last project, where he had a track with Propaganda where they're talking about the history of gangs. And then he started to do that all over here. It's like, your family told you that the Black Panthers were terrorist threats, but they fed my mom grits. Like, the man's been all over.
That's interesting, because we're seeing getting criticized for that before, where they were kind of saying, like, Christian rap doesn't really delve into, like, politics as much, or, like...
Yeah, and the usual response is that apparently... I use heavy air quotes here as like Christian content is not supposed to have politics embedded in them. It's not supposed to have all of that. And then apparently between KB, what's his Swoop, all these guys have been making albums that really go in the face of that in terms of having, like, being a Christian is not antithetical to being black, and that's the key element. And even the interview that he had, he was like, I want the phenotype of my album to be considered black. But so that's, I've been enjoying this a lot.
We're listening to Layla's Wisdom a bit by Rhapsody. It's her new album. It's funny because that kind of is the opposite. I feel like, I don't want to say gospel rap, but like gospel inspired rap or gospel rap, like, it's kind of having this moment right now, because her album definitely has a lot of those like sounds and vibes. Like, just starting off with Layla's Wisdom, you get like these like horns and like just like that feeling to it, and then it ends with Jesus Coming, which is the same thing. So I've been really, really enjoying that album from what I've heard. Rhapsody's always dope. I've been listening to her since The Idea of Beautiful, so I'm happy. It's good shit.
There are a lot of, like, Black and Ugly on that album is crazy. And then it's funny when you pull that out, because the Layla's Wisdom song samples a gospel track. So, I mean, like, I feel that's all happening. I mean, I think Sage, the album you've been listening to, Big Crit, right? Has a lot of that, too.
Yeah, I only got to, like, track 5, but on volume 1, because it's two-sided. But from what I heard, I definitely like it, and I haven't even for real been a Crit. I can't even say I'm a Crit fan because I haven't like gave him like my ear, like honestly 100%. But from what I hear, yeah, I would definitely go back to everybody on Twitter saying, yeah, this is definitely one of his best projects. And other than Crit, I went back to Good Kid, Mad City because because the 5-year anniversary passed this last Sunday. Going back to that, I got that one on vinyl, so I'm happy about that. Like the only recent albums I got on vinyl is Good Kid, Mad City and Vince Staples' Summertime '06. But other than that, on my title, Magic Jordan's album. If you need good feels, listen to Magic. However you say it. Other than have a chance to listen to anything else. Life is hard and moves fast.
Did Good Kid, Mad City hold up for you in the 5 years?
Yes, it definitely had. Of all time, right now, my top 5 is weird, but Kendrick's
was amazing.
The fire.
What?
Just fire.
Do you? I should ask you both. Do you guys remember like your first listen of Good Kid, Mad City? Like, do you like? Are you? For you guys, is it sentimental enough where you like? I remember the first time I heard it, where my mindset was, how I responded to it. Like, is it that deep for you, or you have more so like the first few weeks?
I remember. It took me a while to get into Good Kid, Mad City because I remember hearing a lot about Kendrick for a while, but only 2 songs I heard were Drake and Poetic Justice, and I'm not a Drake fan, so I was like, mixed. I don't know. Even though it's a great song, both of them are. And then Drake kind of threw me off because people always play it at like clubs, and they kind of play it when you're drinking. So I thought it was a song about drinking. Like I missed the whole message of it. But then I think one day I decided just to like check it out. And the first song that got me was actually Real, which is funny because it's probably one of the songs I listen to the least now. But that song is what like caught me. Because I was like, this is dope. Like, now I get it. And then, like, it made me want to re-listen to the whole album with, like, renewed eyes. And that's when I was like, this is good. But I think I got into it, like, maybe a year or 2 after it dropped. Like, it was a while.
I don't even remember when I first started listening to it. I think it just grabbed me because I found it's an unofficial.
One more time? When did you listen?
Oh, okay. I just found a Good Kid, Mad City unofficial short film, and like it never got wide released publicly, but you can just find it on YouTube to watch it. And that's the one thing I do remember from the album, but like I really can't pinpoint the first time I listened to it. It was probably well after it happened because of I was probably listening to the radio so much. So I heard Don't Kill My Vibe, Backseat Freestyle, head into the album, and Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. That hit because that was some like the trilogy of songs. Like if you play these 3 songs in order on the album, if you extended that flows right into Sing About Me, I'm dying. Those 3 songs together just like you're counting with him. Like he just pulls you in with that cinematic storytelling in the voicemails, and he kind of breaks it up with the levity of the parents trying to get the car back. He's been out trying to get you messing with that girl, and
Keisha.
so now it just kept going back with the extended edition with all the songs and through his discography and remembering all the moments.
What is your top 5 though? You said it's weird. I'm just curious. Now I have to know.
Yeah, my top 5 artists. This is gonna give me in. People listen to this.
Well, artists or albums, whichever one you want to do.
Kendrick. Okay, it's Kendrick. It's carefully. I'm gonna get jacked up if I say the wrong people.
I mean, you're already a troll, so you know they expect it.
I want to say Gambino because he's done a lot in a band. Well, think carefully, parents. You know, Kanye, Town Pride, Chicago.
True.
Like he's like a Pablo with average. So, like the screening of it in the theater, so that was kind of special. Seeing the album play at the movies, that was kind of cool.
That's pretty dope.
And everybody loves the workout plan and Good Life. Like you cannot not love those songs. But
Remaining.
You can honestly could go from
That's
one,
okay.
one other person.
That's the worst. I saw Pusha T a few weeks ago, actually. It was pretty dope.
Yeah, you just have to count how many times he raps about cocaine and drugs.
I'm your pusher, yeah.
He's my remaining spy.
You mentioned
that my mind is on the point.
you bought a Vince Staples album, so on vinyl, so
That's true.
Yeah,
That means a lot.
but I wouldn't say top 5 because great stuff, but it's like I can't unequivocally say. I can only say part 1 of Summertime 2006 is the Vince that yes. I will die. I will die on this hill for this album. Where I'm gonna look at my title and I'm gonna try to find one other person.
Jay-Z? You're talking about Tidal. You have to be a Jay-Z
no,
fan to be on Tidal. No? Okay. Common, Chicago.
I was there because since I had Tidal, everybody was like, "Where's the link? Where's the link?" And I was like, "Suckers, I have Tidal, so
True.
link."
Never have to worry about the link.
Yeah, support black businesses.
no
Tidal.
Black Power. Black Panther.
Jay Snore.
Jace, okay, no doubt. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you for saying that. I'm just wondering because you're a little bit younger than us. I know that cold matters more for people younger than us typically.
It must be
done. This 21-year-old does not get down with the cold.
Wait, who is this? I feel old now.
No, we were talking about J. Cole and then he called him Jay Snore. I was like, that's I have no problem with that.
I heard like Cole Maad, and I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah, no, I can't get with J. Cole. Sorry.
What? Well, I can't say anything. I recently became a fan of his after he dropped his last album.
Gold Link. That's my fifth gold.
Gold Link? Okay.
Yeah, Gold Link's fire. People are finally stopping on him because of Crew. Happy that people are finally figuring out, that's kind of fire.
It's kind of fire.
All right, so we got a lot done in that hip hop segment.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if y'all want to get at Sage's top 5, just add him at Sage Terrence, and you'll be able to get him. But the show must go on. Since we read Marvel Legacy, it is only appropriate that we talk about Legacy in nerddom and Legacy in hip hop, and kind of think about the things that come to mind when we think about the idea of keeping on a legacy. And the first thing that came to my mind is really weird, but it's also kind of true. Do you guys know the game Advance Wars that came out on the Game Boy Advance?
No, because all I played on the Game Boy Advance was Pokemon and Mega Man.
Those weren't bad choices. Those are good choices. But so Advance Wars is a game that came to the West in around like 03, 04. It came out on every Nintendo system prior to that, but it was only in Japan. And then it came to the Game Boy Advance, came to the West, and it had a little mini popularity. And then they had 2 more games. And it's kind of like, Fire Emblem, in terms of like you're managing a squad. So different.
Yeah, the strategy.
Yeah, so it's a strategy game, but the main difference is that with Advance Wars, it's not about the characters. It's instead about like a modern war, and you're controlling infantry, you're controlling tanks, and it's more so about like managing the map in a different way as opposed to a Fire Emblem game. And it came out on the Game Boy Advance. There are 2 games on the DS, and the series died. And then in a Nintendo Direct 3 months ago, there's this game called Wargroove, which looks exactly like Advance Wars. And for many people, that's like the title that's carry on Advance Wars Legacy, since Advance Wars is technically dead right now in Nintendo. So people are just like, that's a title that gets to carry on a lost legacy. And I was like, that feels reminiscent of like the whole point of what was getting across in Marvel. It's like there are lost legacies, there's lost things and memories, and then different people get to take over that or carry the torch. So it's like Wargroove feels like that, as obscure as a choice that is. So,
pretty cool.
What came to your all mind when y'all thought about legacy and nerd stuff?
I thought of SimCity. I was talking about it with somebody the other day because they brought up some other game about like I forgot what it was called, but it was a game where you take over. You're like dropped on an alien planet and you have to take over different areas and you go to war with like different places. So when he showed it to me though, because then like after you take over certain places, you have to like build it up. It reminded me of SimCity, and I brought it up to him and he never heard of it, which made me kind of sad. But that game was so much fun. But then it made me realize just how far that whole series has gone. Like now it's more so The Sims, but to see where it started, kind of like I don't even know, like
playing God with zeros and ones.
Right, exactly. And now it's like 3D figures that you can control. So I think like that's had a really cool run and a cool legacy, and kind of see like the trajectory of it. That's been pretty cool.
This might be just because I finally played a Nintendo Switch today, but Mario and Zelda are definitely like the legacy, because Mario can reinvent itself and do anything. Like Super Mario Odyssey is like being hailed since it finally came out. Like people are hailing it as like, oh my god, this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And playing it, I can definitely see why, because it kind of makes me want to get a Switch now a little bit.
So it's better than sliced bread is what you're saying.
Yes. But like, just like, you look where Super Mario Bros. In the 1980s, from little 8-bit characters jumping and trying to jump at the highest point of a flag to, hey, look, my hat can possess people now in fully 3D worlds.
Mm-hmm.
The 8-bit Mario parts in Odyssey, which is kind of cool. Like, it goes from 3D to like a 3D Mario to the Paper Mario on the side of the wall that you have to get through to get back. So like, just seeing how it reinvents itself and does new things while still being unequivocally Mario, where you have to stomp on Goombas, is legacy. And Zelda is also being hailed as one of the Breath of the Wilds, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's being hailed as one of like the greatest games for the year. And Zelda, like, look back to the Nintendo 64, Majora's Mask, and all the Zelda games, going from even the Nintendo Wii, where they kind of went like a gritty.
Oh, you're right. You're talking about Twilight Princess at the end of the GameCube, early Wii. Yeah. I think where he was a wolf. Yep.
That was weird. And so, like, just like how they can keep on, hey, what if this time Link is a wolf? Hey, what if this time it's actually called, what if it's actually about Zelda this time? And the main character is not Link, which is totally confusing because everyone thinks he's Zelda still.
Yep, I've been...
It's like how they reinvent themselves and do different things, and even the 4-player Zelda. Like,
yep, the Triforce Heroes. Yep.
Yeah, like just how those two games have stood the test of time, and go back and play Super Mario Bros. The Zelda on the Nintendo 64, and the amount of joy out of it, whether it's 2017 or 1970, play them and still be franchise.
Those are good picks. I thought about Nintendo stuff, but I went super obscure with my Nintendo pick, so
keep them on their toes.
I gotta do it as a residential Nintendo person.
Actually survive and stay true to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what comes to your mind when you think about legacy and hip hop?
Phantom. That's really what keeps coming to mind. Legacy. Phantom. Like,
I feel like this is a reference I should know, but I have no clue because you sound like you're trying to. What?
Designer with 2 eyes.
Goodbye. Podcast is over. That name was never supposed to be mentioned on this podcast ever.
That's the first thing that comes to mind when I hear Legacy is Phantom. I'm sorry, hip hop has brainwashed me. Blame it on something. Blame it on the boogie.
But when I think of legacy, I think of more like how things are and how we process and get information. Like when I think of legacy, it's not more so somebody, it's more something like how like I know like me growing up, it's just crazy like how we get artists leaking their songs and like we get it instantly, and how we can stay up to date, thing that the artists know, and follow them on every different type of social app and get different teasers. Like they can tease it on Snapchat, somebody screenshots it, goes to Twitter, so now we're all guessing like, oh my god, okay, so if Jay-Z said watch out, oh my god, so okay, that can mean at 444 he's gonna drop something.
Yeah, that's what just happened with Eminem this week.
Eminem, yeah, Eminem, who cares?
I'm just saying, if you're using an example that literally happened this week, you should make that reference. Like that literally just happened a few days ago with Eminem. So.
But just like how on Joe Budden, just with Twitter and how we can interact with artists now, it's kind of crazy. Like you could tweet your favorite artist and they may or may not look at it. Like I just a guy was tweeting about how he told his mom he has a track with Skepta, and Skepta saw it and he was like, okay, send me something. Like that type of opportunity, like in the old age of hip hop, like you just couldn't go up to somebody like, hey, can you hop on my track? Like with Twitter, you get everything is close, but everything is far away because no doubt people are tweeting Kendrick and Lupe right now, trying to, hey, listen to this, or trying to DM them, or just trying to get your favorites to see you, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So just how we interact with our favorite artists now that's kind of the legacy of hip hop, and like Twitter has definitely changed the game with how we like our perception of people. Like people used to be against Joe Budden, and they would make memes of him when he was running in the street, and people would make fun of him when Drake clowned him or whatever. But we see how like his side of like how like their takes on it, and I think Everyday Struggle is a really nice little breakfast show for music. Like you just pop it open, watch it while you eat breakfast, and like you go away learning something. And yeah, just how the blogs and just the artists themselves tweeting and Instagram and Snapchat, like just the legacy of hip hop is different and comes with the changes because we can get everything.
Yeah, it's funny.
Immediately.
It's a good, like you said something I didn't think about, which is that you said the blogs and like how much that's like Twitter is the evolution of blogs with music. Like it still blows my mind. Like Two Dope Boys has only been around 10 years. It feels like forever. It feels like as they are like the premier hip hop blog, that they've only been around for 10 years, but like the entire culture of that site really is influenced a lot of what you're talking about in terms of people getting to know artists, people interacting in a personal way. Like I thought that I hadn't really thought about that. When I thought of hip hop and legacy, I was thinking about Slum Village. Slum Village has like it's sort of been an Avengers crew of Detroit in terms of like the amount of different incarnations. Artists like Dilla left the group at one point in time, and then he died eventually. Same thing with Batin. Batin left the group, and then and then new artists came in like Elzai to replace people, and then Dilla's brother came in. So one of the articles that dropped earlier this year or last year was talking about when you go to a Slum Village concert, you have different incarnations performing old incarnations of the group. So it's like it becomes almost like old soul groups where different singers used to show up, and then now you have a current version doing old versions, groups like trying to hold out the legacy of people that may not be around or people who are left behind. And I think hip hop is unique in that sense of like having all of those possibilities.
Yeah, so like would you like with doing movies and biopics like Straight Outta Compton, and because like that was a very big thing when it dropped. Like I know from my mom, because she's the biggest Ice Cube fan you'll ever meet. Like
That's cool.
when like she got me out of school to go meet Ice Cube at a Best Buy because he was doing his album signing.
Which album was that?
Really first. It was like in 2008.
Oh, raw footage. Raw footage.
It was probably, yeah. Like we were the first people at Best Buy. We were hours early. She was meeting Ice Cube that day. So going to see that movie with her and seeing like how she knew all the story beats since that was what she grew up on, and like how just like the beginnings of Friday and what like just the major story beats that they hit and all the music that they had, to see like, because I certainly didn't know nothing about it, but to see her about all the songs that they did, like, oh, okay, so it's new to me, but this is like a replay for her. So like things like, you know how BET does the biopics on groups, you know, like they kind of bring them back into the fold for new people.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm 21, so all the biopic stories, like, oh, okay, so we can ask, like, I can ask my parents or grandparents, so is that how that happened? And they can either break it down yes or no, because sometimes it's not accurate. Like, All Eyes on Me was not accurate. Everybody knows All Eyes on Me was not accurate.
I still haven't worked up the courage to watch it. I'm so scared. I'm a Tupac fan. Tupac. I'm like, please. They probably ruined it.
I told my mom, like, no, you don't want to watch that. They had iPhones in the audience. No, stop. They didn't really have iPhones in the audience, but that was a running joke about how like they had iPhones and current technology in the movie.
The fact that it's believable that they would says it all.
And Jada Pinkett even said like that movie was not
representative of their relationship.
Yeah.
Right. When she said that, that's what I was like, oh damn. Like when John Cena.
If you have her in the movie and it's not accurate, then how does that work?
Right, because like she's right there. You could have just asked her, like,
right.
And I'm sure it would be just as interesting, probably. But I don't know.
And I think the other thing that I've heard about. Go ahead.
Yeah, she was like, the actors were good, but it wasn't. It wasn't it.
It wasn't real.
And
what was your other thing you said?
No, I was
actually have a good one too. It wasn't just Phantom.
Oh, what's the other one?
Well, I have two. So one thing I was thinking of, like lately, people have been talking about like whether or not people fighting flows is a way of like, if that's something we should be discrediting them for, like because they don't have their own flows, or is that something like a way of honoring previous rappers? I know like Ja Rule's gotten flack for like kind of taking on Tupac's image, or I think Cardi B now is kind of getting some flack because they said she sounds like a few different rappers sometimes.
Action Bronson and Ghostface is a perfect example.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it's a wonder like how much is it like honoring someone, because it's one thing for listening to rappers, and of course I think you're going to pick up at least a little bit how they sound,
mannerisms and how they move.
Because if that's what you're aspiring to be, inspiring to sound like, that's what you're going to end up sounding like.
Right. I think in that case, it's a case of like, do you get to add something to it? So, in the case of a good example is like Cool G Rap and Big Pun. Big Pun studied Cool G Rap, flows are very similar and so forth, but Pun has his own flavor, whether it be adding the kind of Latino influences or just like the way that he tells his stories being different, and that he can do more commercial sounding, or he did more commercial sounding stuff when he was alive. Like, you add something to it, as opposed to someone like Action Bronson. He doesn't add too much to it, but although you have like the food context and so forth, so it's like if you're adding something to it that's like personal, I think that makes it more of an honoring thing. And also in terms of like, do you give the artists like the recognition as well? Like, are you just going to pretend like you're not biting their flow, or are you going to acknowledge it? Like, one of the most popular...
Like, Cardi B definitely said, like, yeah, I bit Kodak flow.
Right, but...
But that was the point, too, I think.
Yeah, I wonder if in the case of, like, someone like Cardi, I think there are two things. A, he's a contemporary. I think that's also the big difference. Like, in the scenarios I think that are okay, it's like, oh... Action Bronson probably sat down and listened to Ghostface as a kid. Or Big Pun was sitting down listening to Cool G Rap. Cardi B was not growing up listening to Kodak.
Kodak Black.
Yeah, that was not what's going on.
Yeah, it was very intentional. Just because, especially like her song is Bodak Yellow, named after him.
Right.
So it's a lot. Yeah.
And he hopped on the remix to Bodak Yellow, so he kind of remixed his own song.
It's like Diddy would say, you remix the remix.
It's a mixception.
Exactly. Diddy would be proud.
And then the other one was I recently saw the kid from Stranger Things, Caleb McLaughlin. He plays Lucas. He did LL Cool J's Bad on Lip Sync Battle, and he killed it. Like, I don't know, like people are saying like it's the New Edition skills coming through because he was one of the kids on New Edition, but like he had the choreography down.
That's all that it would be. The New Edition.
So I just thought that was pretty cool, just because he's so young, and to see him do like a song from the '80s, that was pretty cool. Well, I mean, Stranger Things is all '80s too, but I thought that was pretty cool, like honoring thing, and for him to like get it down pat too. Like,
how do you guys feel about when Rich Homie Quan didn't know the words?
Biggie.
He's a thing, like his song, like I know that was a big thing with like old heads, like saying it's a common thing, like you young people should know your history.
So it's layered. I think number one, young people should actually want to know history. Like, you're not gonna know everything. Like, every day I wake up and look at like some of my favorite Twitter people who are like older than me. I'm just like, I can't catch up, so I give up on that. But I think the question is like, did Richie Homie Quan know in advance he was going to be doing the Biggie track? And if he did, why didn't he at least study that more out of respect? Because I don't know if do you remember the Lupe Fiasco Tribe Call Quest issue? That's like 5 years.
No, I do not.
Yeah, that was like 2007, where just the same thing. Lupe forgot Tribe Called Quest lyrics when he was asked to perform at Hip Hop Honors for BET, and that blew up the same way that this blew up. And people were more mad at Lupe because they're like, your entire existence is thanks to Tribe. Like, with Rich Homie Quan, you could argue, like, Big being a representative of hip-hop, obviously Big influences everything, but would we say, like, Big is direct like, does Rich Homie Quan's lane in music really go up the Big family tree necessarily? I don't think anyone would say that directly, as opposed to, like, Lupe can only make these skateboard tracks because Q-Tip and Fife were doing, like, I think the layers are different.
Like, yeah, because it's like on it's just a common thing with like if you look at Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert, like the new age people and thoughts Like, what is that? Like going back, like what's that? Knowing your history when I'm not even trying to go in that lane, like going where you get the roots of music and rap.
But if you love a thing, you'll go back, right? Like when we sit down and talk about comics, the reason why you know all the old comics is because you care about it, you love it, like it means something to you.
Yeah, and then like and they tell you like see blah 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 #1 for more information. Yeah. Like okay, so it's clearly this is another layer to the story, so I gotta look at that.
And that's why I think like with newer artists, it's the same thing. It's like you don't, especially for these guys, where it's like, all right, you don't care about lyricism, right? Because that's the argument. It's like I don't care about lyricism. Why do I got to go back? I ain't trying to sound like Prodigy or Sean Price, but I'm like, y'all could learn something from beats. Y'all can do homework. Like there's homework to be done for you, whatever you care about. Like if you're a Southern artist, you can go listen to 8 Ball and MJG. You can go listen to early Prince Paul like there's work for you to do if it's more your lane, because those guys are your OGs. Like everyone's got an OG that they like. You can go down the family tree that birthed you. And there's stuff that people haven't done with some of the songs anyway. Like, at least that's how I always think. It's like, that's what it is. It isn't just like, oh, I gotta love these guys the same way. It's like someone birthed where you come from. So why not at least give it reverence? Because whether or not you gonna love it is one thing. But it's like, I have a job because this guy created a lane. Like, if you're in Florida or if you're in Miami, you better be thanking Uncle Luke every day. Like, it's just how you're supposed to do it.
I agree and disagree. I do think, like, if you love a thing, you should, like, want to learn the history of it, or at least, like, if you have a craft, you should want to, like, go back and see, like, what came before you. But I'm also wonder, like, to create something new or to create a new sound, if you listen too much of the past, if you end up just recreating a lot, like, I don't know, I feel like their thing is they want to do innovation.
But are they though?
No matter how terrible they may sound.
I mean,
they are. Like,
so
it is innovation. I mean, whether you like it or not, but it is.
So wait, like, I'm careful about who we're gonna call innovators here. Like, if you're telling me Future is an innovator, I get it. Like, Future is an innovator, whether or not I like him or not. But we gonna say Yachty is an innovator? Like, are we really gonna give him the picture? Like, there's certain people who deserve representation of this sound, but they're not those guys who are usually be like, I don't want to do anything this, because 2 Chainz would not say anything about that, or Future would not say that, because Future's hanging out with Dungeon Family. He would never be like, you know, I ain't got to listen to Goody Mob. He was there. Like, yeah.
Like, dude, well, I don't know, because I feel like Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, and there's a third person, I can't think, maybe Ray Shimmer? Maybe, like,
I think Ray Shimmer's more tolerable about their... Oh, no, I'll say not Ray Shimmer. I think Ray tolerable about the past. But just like the new age people, like, because I know Vince Staples had a big argument how he said care about the 90s, like people hailing like, oh my god, the 90s thing, and Vince took to Twitter and he was like, the 90s were not all that, get out y'all butt about it.
He did
take him on that.
People did check him on that, but I think what was interesting about Vince though is that, as weird and bizarre as his decisions was, he started like, you know, no, my OG, as weird as the decision is, like, my OG is Bow Wow. I was just like, I don't know who says that. I don't know why you say that. But he was like, there were people that he was going to give reverence to for that. And also, truthfully, if you listen to how he raps, this is a person who clearly did some studying of some work. Whether or not it's like he loves the 90s the way that old heads do. And he doesn't have to. But he's like, skill-wise, craft-wise, he takes it seriously. Like, I think with him it's different, but...
And then I think the landscape of that is changing, because, like, random SoundCloud user number 92-AB could be your favorite because it's so. People are just thriving on the internet. Like I know one of my favorite they're a boy band called Brockhampton.
Yep.
Like
Saturation 1 and 2, right?
Like yeah, Saturation 3 coming December, and like just how they came from the internet. Like they all met on Kanye to the forums. Like the internet is birthing people per se. So like your influences could be a SoundCloud link away or a Bandcamp link away.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I love dang who like wait, dang, I got the Black Star, right?
Yep, Black Star.
Yasin Bey.
Oh, Black Star, way back in the day. I love Moise Dell, Nas. Like your influence could be Lil Wayne, Lil B. Not recent, but like in the current shape of things.
Right, but it'd be like, so I think two things are interesting. I think it's like if in the case of like someone like Wayne, right? If you say Wayne is your influence, you could go back and like, all right, who birthed Wayne? Like, there's a family tree that gets us to Wayne as a 14-year-old and gives him that run. Like, there's a whole set of people that does that for him. Like, that to me is like, that feels like a logical thing to look at. If Wayne is your favorite rapper. It's like, when you talk about this internet collaboration, right? The first time that was really done is, what, 03? Not 03, 04, when Fonte drops a Foreign Exchange. Like, he met producer Nicolay in 04. He's from North Carolina, producers from Netherlands, and that entire collaboration album is done via OK Player Forum. So like, even the action of the internet connecting has a history. Like, and I always think like, why wouldn't that be interesting to know and think about? But that's probably just me as a nerd. So
partially, I think the most times I've been more like I've come to that question is when rappers give a shout out to their OGs, and I'm like, oh, who's that person they're talking about? So I think that's the only way someone would be like, oh, like who birthed them. Other than that, I don't know if I would now, but before, I don't know if I would have came to that question. If someone was like, this is my favorite rapper, like Rockham's my favorite rapper, like.
It's interesting. Like, I remember the day when I was like, Kanye was my favorite rapper, and I was like, I went through his entire album booklet. I'm like, who is this person? Who is that person? Who's that person? I'm like, who's Consequence? Oh, Consequence is a poet tribe? Like, and I was like, oh, I gotta listen to this person. Who's Talib? Who's Most? Like, I remember those questions. I was like, I clearly gotta figure out who influenced them. Like, I got real excited. But, I don't know. Do you think you've done the same for yourself, Sage?
Probably, because usually I would get so wrapped up in the rapper of the now. Like, I try to, like, analyze and break down their whole discography. I never get to the people that came before them unless I hear his own, like, a Tribe Called Quest album that just recently dropped.
Right.
It was like my for real introduction to him, but it was like where I could get the music. Like, this is my first time like hearing the music. Like, I've clearly heard them before through movies and TV shows, but like my first full let out introduction album just happened to be their last album.
Right.
Like with I know like with Odd Future, I got into them when Wolf was coming out. So to go back, that would be kind of like my example of it. Because since Wolf came out, I'm like, okay, so this is Tyler, Haji, Left Brain, Frank Ocean, Earl, all these guys. Oh, okay, so everybody they either have little subgroups in the overall. So like, if you start with go to Earl, then you go to Left Brain and Haji. Then you go to Mellow Hype. Then they got Mellow High. Then you got the internet. Oh, people in the internet got solo. So then you go to Steve Lacy. Then you go to Sid. So then, like, that's a real, like, example of branching out and seeing for them, but just the inner workings of how a collective goes together and how they can, even when they're solo, they can still be good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's how I operate too. Like, I'll look at features or I want to go back to an artist's past albums and be like, all right, let me explore this and delve out. Yeah, that's it.
You know, I got a question for you all. Now, would you say the rules would be different for different genres? Because I know, like, do you necessarily have to go back B? Because it feels like an R&B album is coming out every few Fridays.
I think
So, like, would you really have to go back to be like, okay, Usher and whoever else to inspire SZA or Brent Fayez or whoever's coming out?
so. It's weird because R&B is unique for me in the sense of, like, I mainly do soul and neo soul stuff. So for me, it's thinking about, all right, right now I'm just going through, like, Stevie Wonder's discography. Like, I own For Once in My Life, I own Music on My Mind, and I'm trying to get other stuff, and then trying to figure out how do I get from Stevie all the way to now, because like, that's gonna be a long ass travel. Straight up.
He drops an album like every year since the 60s.
Right, and that's, like, for me, it's like, who are the, like, quote unquote forefathers to, like, how we understand R&B now? And you don't necessarily need to start at Stevie, but as, like, for me, I'm like, I want to do all of Stevie, I want to do all of Marvin, I want to do all of, like, Prince, and then, like, because those seem to be, like, the major sounds. I mean, let me do all of Janet, and then I could start getting to, like, what happened with Bobby Brown and New Edition, and do all of that. Like, I'm moving from that direction, and that just more so has to do with, like, I'm not that interested in many modern R&B albums unless his name is D'Angelo. So,
I think for me, it's more like if Usher was dropping an album, I wouldn't feel compelled to, like, go back and listen to his older albums. I mean, I've listened to his other albums, but, like,
Usher, Raymond versus Raymond, fire.
is it? I actually haven't listened to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not on Tidal. Tidal doesn't have certain Usher albums. I don't know why.
That's weird. That's weird. But yeah, so, like, but I think it's because with modern R&B, like, I think with hip-hop, you can kind of see how a rapper has grown. And I think you kind of get that with R&B, but all the albums just have such different sounds that one album doesn't feel like it's really telling me about what their next album is going to sound like, or if they've grown. Like, it isn't.
Yeah, because, like, Gambino definitely reinvents himself
Right.
every time he does something. So, like, when SZA comes out with more albums, like, do you think, like, oh, somebody would be like, oh, okay, so she's R&B, so, like, let's see where she got her wave, or, like, her inspired from? Because, like, will the 17-year-old black girl that's listening to SZA right now feel the urge to go back and, like, oh, who's the SZA before SZA per se?
I think so. I think if you enjoy this album, like, that's what I do. Like, if I like this album, I'm like, all right, what else do they have? But I think that's the only way I go about it.
So let me put it this way, because now when you say it, I'm starting to second question myself about what I thought. Like,
I'm sorry.
no, this is actually pretty.
He's trolling us. It's happening. No, joking.
It's happening in our show. It was all a plan from the beginning.
Yep.
So I put it this way: for people who, and I'm probably going to get slaughtered on Twitter. Anyway, so people who love
At the Wolves Den
Beyonce,
25.
right? So people who love Beyonce, right? Do they go back the Beyonce family tree? And I'm going to argue, I don't get the feeling that most do. I think some do, but I don't get the feeling that people are going beyond Beyonce. Like, I don't think they go back. I'm pretty sure they do all of Beyonce's discography. Like, I'm pretty sure that anyone who loves Beyonce now goes back and listens to Destiny's Child and does that. But do they go above that? I'm not very convinced.
I do think if a Beyonce, maybe I'm biased. I could be. If Beyonce drops another album, which it looks like she's hinting at, that you should at least go back to her self-titled album. I think, at least.
I think people would be more willing to do that than necessarily go back to Beyonce's influences. That's more so where I'm going.
Yeah.
I think you get trapped in the Beyonce circle.
Yeah, I think that's more done for R&B in general, where you just kind of stick to your artist that you like and their discography rather than like, oh, who influenced this person? Unless you like see it on like iTunes or Spotify, like people who like this also. But other than that, I don't know.
So we answered that question. I think that was a good question because that leads us to talking about our question of the month, essentially, or the what question. And this is
it has to be scary because it's October. October went by so fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought Halloween next weekend, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna get my costume this week, and then I was like, oh, it's this weekend. That's not happening.
And you want to know what's also kind of cool? It's our 2nd year anniversary. Keep that in mind.
I know. I saw the Facebook thing. I was like,
wow, I feel honored to be ushering that in.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like, wow, we're here. 2 years. Oh, okay. We got a bunch of stuff to go through, but we're going to get to the what question. It's actually not horror themed because we want to keep the legacy theme going, actually.
All right.
Next year, though, we got to make our 3rd anniversary horror themed. We'll figure that out. But the question is, if you could choose one IP, one intellectual property to have guaranteed future influence to extend its legacy for the next 10 years, what would that intellectual property be? So imagine that every other intellectual property would disappear and not influence anything else. Only the one that you pick.
oh, this is hard.
So, like, comics and movies and TV and music, that type of thing?
So, right now we're going to, except for not TV, I guess. I wasn't thinking TVs and movies, but it could possibly work. But yes, anything in nerddom or hip-hop-dom. So if you're going to pick one thing for nerddom, it's going to be one thing. So like if you pick a comic book character, it's only that character that will have a legacy 10 years from now. If you pick one rapper, it's only that rapper will influence the next 10 years of rappers. Like that's what you do.
Like one of each.
Alright, cool. I got you. One of each. I got you.
Okay. One comic, one musician.
Yeah.
No pressure at all.
No. So I
think the world would definitely need. The world's definitely gonna always need Superman.
All right. I like that pick.
Or you gotta go because I can't decide on musician. That's incredibly.
So.
I'm gonna be super cliche because I really want this Black Panther legacy to keep going.
Okay.
So I feel like if that dictated, if we get more Black people on the screen in the next 10 years, I'd be so happy.
I'm gonna go with Nighthawk because I'm mad that he's still not around, and that 6-issue run is still my favorite, one of my favorite experiences.
He was around, he just died.
Wait, is that the ending in Squadron Supreme that he died?
No, in Occupy Avengers.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
It was his death kind of went unnoticed, but it happened in the book because Hydra it was during Secret Empire. Hydra taken over, and he died because he was black.
Ain't that the truth of life, right?
So sad now.
I think so.
Yeah, that was. I was really sad with his series because I was really excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, Chicago in a book. Yes,
it's true.
He's fighting racists in Yeezys. Yes,
that is one of the most iconic comic images in my face I can always remember. I don't think I'll ever forget that. The Yeezy to the face.
Yeah, that's how I tried to get people on the book. I would tweet, we have a black superhero that's fighting white supremacists, and Yeezys. Buy this book.
I'm mad. Kanye should have did something with that.
Nighthawk 3000.
Yes. So, if there's a character whose influence I think needs to be felt in some way, in whether it's just gonna be talking about white supremacy for the next 10 years in comics, I'm fine with that. Being Nighthawk's legacy.
I'm gonna stick with Superman. Superman is just you have to have Superman.
Fair.
The world.
So
the world, Justice League. They're saying it. The world needs Superman. The world goes to more crap if Superman isn't in it.
So how would you feel if you woke up tomorrow and between the big two you only have 3 characters: Superman, Nighthawk, and Black Panther? Are you fine with that?
A very racially driven big two.
Well, that's a good question. So, which ideology or which symbol do you think is better, a Captain America symbol or a Superman? As far as
even if you don't know, you know the S. You know the S. Captain America can go choke.
All right. So now we got to pick the harder one. So y'all got to pick your musician. Only this their influence will live on. Everybody else's influence will die off.
Influence is gonna be so weird. Either I want more Kendrick, more Gambino.
Man.
I think I have a left field pick that I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna pick Tyler.
Huh. That's
he was my third, but I don't know if I want Tyler because his fan base, you can track his fan base. At first it was it started count your days, mom, to we're going to Afropunk 2017.
That's true.
I think with the stuff I've really listened from Tyler is he has enough of a variety where I think it would inspire enough different types of artists in the future. So we would get interesting hip hop, we'd get interesting soul out of Tyler's work, because that's the last album of his I bought was Cherry Bomb, which I actually kind of dig, and I think if you're telling me that more artists will be listening to Find Your Wings, I would be quite happy with that future. And I think hip-hop wise, he's good enough where I wouldn't be mad if people start biting beat sounds and concepts. So if that's the future I have to pick, it's diverse enough for me to feel okay.
I think my future is Gambino, Childish Gambino.
All right.
I think because if you look from just Camp to the royalty mixtape to Because the Internet, which does not, because the Internet deserves the amount of praise Awaken My Love God.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because the Internet had so much to it. It has a screenplay. It has a prequel video. It's just so much involved with one project. So many, it includes so many other mediums.
Right.
So just, yes, and a way if you look at the Stone Mountain Kawhi mixtape with Jaden Smith, and he can serenade and rap on the two heads of the same coin. He's Stone Mountain, Georgia, but he's going to Kawhi too, and with Awaken My Love is a far cry from what we you don't think wow, this guy who's on Community just busted out the singing chops. Redbone is everywhere, so I would definitely get weird, and Gambino's leading the way. People get weirder, introduce concept albums, and
that's a good pick. Yeah, I like that.
Weirder.
It's my turn. I think I'm going to go with No Name.
Hey.
No Name.
All right, the Chicago love.
Yeah, Chicago, true. Yeah, so I'm all for diversity, so more women in hip hop. But also just I think she's in a cool space where I love Cardi B, I love that she's winning right now. I love Rhapsody, and I kind of want more of both of those sounds in the future. And I don't think No Name is exactly in the middle, but I think she's the closest person I can think of right now who's in the middle, or at least can kind of capture both. Maybe Rhapsody's more, but yeah, I think she's just like happy hippie vibes. It makes me feel better, and but at the same time, like,
love that. I love that album from No Name.
Great album.
Album is dope. So I'd take that for the next 10 years beyond for sure.
And so we don't have any fancies this week, but if you have an answer to, like, if you could only pick one artist or one comic book character to have a legacy 10 years from now, tweet it at us using the hashtag #NerdsOnHipHop. Wow, this has been a fantastic show. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Sage. We are deeply grateful for your time. We hope you enjoyed yourself too.
Yes, definitely did.
If people want to find you on Twitter, what's the handle?
You can find me at Sage, SageTerrence.
And
or one of my viral tweets that you probably blocked me for.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about the one that recently has gotten you in trouble. Although you're not the one who did the refrigerator. I'm very grateful you didn't do the refrigerator one, because that was ridiculous.
I did get blocked for saying the Dark Knight trilogy is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll have many Twitters coming after you, many sides, aspects, and groups.
And where can they find you, Sailor Victoria?
Oh, me, my turn. Miss Old School with a K. It's on all platforms. You want to tweet at me and whatever. I probably won't block you unless you give me One Piece spoilers.
Yes. And then I'm the Wolves Den 25. But normally we'd end it here. But Sage, you get to be a part of our big, huge announcement today.
This just kind of fell into my lap. The second year anniversary of big announcement. Oh my god!
Yeah, you came when you came on the right time. So, Victoria, I'm gonna let you take the stage. Announce it for the peoples.
So, really awesome news. We were approved to present a panel at Anime NYC this year. So we're hosting a panel on anime and hip hop on Saturday. Anime NYC in New York, and it's at 5:45 p.m. So if you guys want to come along and see us talk with our panel.
I'm definitely going to tell everybody in New York, all my nerds in New York, they have to go to that now.
They have to. We got 3 guests, but we're going to drop the guests when we actually drop the actual flyer. However, if you guys want some like hints, think dope hip hop from Detroit.
Big Sean.
Yeah, no. Definitely no. But I'll let you come up with the other hint.
Think hip hop and manga.
And that's
in New York.
We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it like that. Right. But
so, yeah, I'm really excited.
This is gonna be great. We hope to see you guys there. If there's something you want us to highlight or do, we thought about merch, but we're not really sure if we're going to do anything like that. But if you want maybe stickers, let us know. Tweet us.
Yeah, or a giveaway. Let us know what you want.
We'll give the people what they want. Shout out to Jalen Rose. So that was today's episode of Nerds on Hip Hop. We'll be back with the special episode in November. November 18th is the day. So if you're in New York, you should go. Go to, well, the weekend tickets sold out. So go to your Kinokuniya, your Image Anime, go to these places to get your weekend tickets.
Yes.
Go see Justice League weekend too.
Yes, we should do a Justice League talk. We might actually, you know what? We should do a filler episode with you back here to talk about Justice League. Would you enjoy that, Sage?
Yes, because I need to boost that movie as much as possible so everybody can go see it.
We'll We'll probably be together.
That's probably what's going to happen. So, thank you guys. This has been fun. This has been a blast. Nerds and Hip Hop is going strong. 2 years. Crazy. Sayonara, sons.